Hello and welcome, everyone. UW Botanic Gardens is your host for this webinar this evening. Our mission is sustaining managed and natural ecosystems and the human spirit through plant research, education, and display. Our spaces include the Washington Park Arboretum and the Center for Urban Horticulture in Seattle, including the Union Bay Natural Area, Elizabeth C. Miller Library, and the UW Student Farm. And we offer education and conservation programs that serve our entire region. And this is a session and a series of conversation exploring how gardens like ours can evolve to meet community needs, both today and in the future. We see the colonial history of plant collections and the implicit and explicit exclusion of BIPOC communities from green spaces like public gardens as injustices that shape our past and present and must be countered as we move into the future. And we're excited to dig into these conversations to learn more about community-led efforts in our region. And this series focuses on organizations working to heal communities and the lands and the role that partnership plays in that work. And we want to make connections, highlight the work of these organizations, and explore how public gardens can engage with and support these efforts. And I want to express gratitude to our partners at the Arboretum Foundation for their support in the development of this series. My name is Olivia Price. I use she, her pronouns, and I supervise the adult education programming and communications at UW Botanic Gardens. We'll be keeping your microphones and cameras off and using some Zoom tools for discussion today. We have enabled auto transcription for closed captioning, and you can click on the CC tool at the bottom of your screen and choose to show or hide those subtitles. And you should see the Q&A tool at the bottom of your screen, and we'll be using that if you have any questions for our speakers. Again, we are recording today's session. Tomorrow, we will send out an email with a link to the recording to everyone who registered to attend. And we'll also eventually be getting the recording up on our YouTube here at UW Botanic Gardens. And you're, of course, welcome to share that with anyone who you think would be interested. And with that, I'll introduce our guest for tonight. Kim Kamara is the co-founder and director of Windz of Change Alliance, and Monica Haugen is a planning and development specialist focusing on Center City Parks activation with Seattle Parks and Recreation.
Welcome. I'm Kim Kamara. I'm affiliated Blackfeet, Northern Arapaho, and a Southwest tribal affiliation to be discovered with more research. We are blessed to be invited to participate here. And the first thing is to acknowledge the lands that we are sitting and standing on. So we call in the ancestors of the East, the South, the West, and the North, and we give acknowledgement for the lands, the waters, and all living beings on this particular land on behalf of the Halliday and Thomas families, direct descendants of Chief Cheshiahud Longhouse Village that was located right here where University of Washington, Lake Union, and the regions in direct Seattle are related. So we give acknowledgement and we give thanks for that. So to talk about Windz of Change Alliance, we are a Seattle-based nonprofit Indigenous tribal nonprofit organization. We've been working in this area since 2006. We have done a variety of Indigenous Native peoples directed, led, and facilitated programmings. And in one of our years, we all said, wait, we're doing all of these in parks. So there is an environmental eco-cultural systems connection throughout everything that we're doing. And we're very honored to now be connected very collaboratively with Seattle Parks and Recreation, with Monica and others. Our vision is to strengthen peoples, presence, place, sacred space, and relationships through cultural arts, eco-cultural stewardship, and education. And there is always artistic, creative, sacred ways that are incorporated, ceremonial ways incorporated into everything that we do. Monica is evidence of that, and other people who walk with us in our activities and programs. So now I would like to ask Monica if she could introduce herself.
Thank you, Kim. Hi, my name is Monica Haugen. I use she, her pronouns, and I've worked for Seattle Parks and Recreation for 24 years in a variety of different spaces and places. I have been with this particular position for a little over a year, and I have worked with it previously. And I work closely with multiple partners to bring activation, enrichment, and programs to downtown Center City parks. These include Hinghe, Westlake, Occidental, Bell Street, Freeway, Victor, Denny, and Pioneer Square, and many others throughout the system.
And as you can see, the various kinds of activities we do are listed in our mission. And that is just a really short summary of everything that we do when we step into a sacred space, strengthening our Indigenous peoples' place, identity, and leadership for the work that we have been doing for this long period of time. Next slide. So our most current activations and activities have been beautiful, bringing forth tribal voice into the University of Washington Urban Forestry Symposium. Years ago, we did a conference that was called Northwest Indigenous Conference Healing Solutions, that was held at Seattle University with Billy Frank Jr. So this program that we've been doing since 2019 now is one of the very unique programs for collaborating together with a huge collective of city, county, Washington State, national, other environmental, eco-cultural systems, nonprofits like Plant Amnesty, who were the founders of the Urban Forestry Symposium, and other nonprofit organizations. So within all of this, we have been doing in city parks a broad spectrum, geographic, moving between, we've done things at Seattle Center, that is a City of Seattle park. We founded powwow, coastal jamming, art and performance at the Northwest Folklife Festival. We did one year, we were invited to the Arts and Nature Festival at Camp Long in West Seattle. We did a program, a youth conference down in Tukwila at one of their community centers alongside a stream in a park space. And so currently we've been working on Liq'Tid Springs, that's in the north side of Seattle. Monica, we were blessed with Monica to be our facilitator from Parks Department for that. And that's a very low activated park space. It's sacred to Coast Salish peoples. Liq'Tid means red paint, which the carvers would obtain to stain their Western red cedar art carvings. And it was also used for face painting ceremony. This last year, and we will move into more description and photos, City Hall Park, we were invited by Monica into City Hall Park. That's right next to the King County Courthouse. Very small space. But we did a beautiful intertribal series along with the Monument Project that we soon will be showing you something special. When we do these programs, we bring in powwow people, coastal jamming people, artists of various intertribal multimedia formats. We create half-day festivals. We create art shows. We've done 2 beautiful, beautiful art shows, one in Pioneer Square at the Soil Gallery. There's photos of it in one of our slide shots. That is an expression of how do you experience a little bit of canoe journey that's held every year in the area. Over 100 canoes participate in that from the Northwest, Canada, Australia, Hawaii, and others are joining even more so. We have done various public tribal art installations. One was in City Hall Park. We had 2 others done by Micah McCarty McCaw. He's one of our co-directors at Seattle Center, Sojourner Canoe, that was hung up in a tree outside of the Armory food building for 3-4 months. He also did one that was in front of the Lake City, the North End Library. We had artworks that Seattle's SDOT, Department of Transportation, purchased that then are displayed, and they were in the first showing in the King Street Station Gallery for the first time after COVID. We had 3 artists represented in that. And then we do various workshops and community center programming that brings together intertribally people. What is notable about Windz of Change Alliance is we are always proactively welcoming and inclusive, so that all non-tribal peoples, organizations, visitors, tourists, and everyone are invited to step in and participate, however that means. Involve and watch, get in and dance intertribals at a powwow, go around to the craft vendors and learn how to make things, learn about beadwork and other items, and notably welcoming, including inviting them into food and tribal foods that are represented. Who doesn't like an Indian taco? So, next slide. So I've mentioned another noteworthy activity is the Seafair Torchlight Parade. That is the largest parade in the state of Washington. We have won the award for that 3 years out of 4 because so many youth join us, so many different tribal representations with canoes, with powwow people, with Alaskan, just a wide variety. And of course, I can't forget to say, there's a couple of pictures coming up, the Medicine Creek motorcycle veteran riders from Puyallup tribe. Beautiful group of boys and men. And as I said, then our other piece part is being a resource point for being able to bring in for other like libraries, schools, nonprofit organizations, environmental focus, to refer and bring in artists and heritage keepers who then can bring in the tribal voice. That's a really key component of the work we do, including getting technical grants to support our tribal artists with Apple and Dell equipment, software, and other kinds of things. The city of Seattle has blessed us twice with that kind of funding. Next slide. So here's a photo collage we put together that represents some of our activities. I could not include everything. We were unable to include everything. We've been doing this since 2006. But you'll see the Medicine Creek Puyallup motorcycle riders in the upper right side, top right side of the screen. Then there is our soil gallery exhibit. We had a mini canoe. We represented over 11 artists. That canoe is a Quileute in full cedar regalia from the La Push Quileute peoples. we had just an array of representation in that. Then our symposium on the right side, I'm going like from left to right, is this last year's symposium program. Then down, you'll see a photo now of Kyler Fisher, who was in the monument art exhibit at City Hall Park with Monica. Beautiful and amazing. Monica will give us more info on that. Then our Seafarer Torchlight Parade, one of our award-winning unit years, again with the Medicine Creek Riders in the background, the length of 4th Avenue in downtown Seattle. Amazing, amazing. We had so many people supporting, cheering us on, tribal, native, homeless, that caused some of us to just cry because we could overhear people saying, we have not been represented before like this in this parade. So beautiful. Then we've been doing Lake City Seafarer parades. So on the lower corner with the red Cadillac, that was a community car show person who's now part of our team, with Chief, who is one of the relations of the Halliday Thomas families that I mentioned earlier. Photograph to the far right is our symposium from last year. Then I'll drop down to the other side. This is an older parade unit we did under a different name at Mercer Island. Mercer Island had never done a tribal festival with their summer festival. We had Appaloosa horses from Nez Perce country. Those are two of the youth riding them in full regalia. And we did all the programming for that, the stages, the veterans honoring, and the parade. Yes, I'm still alive. Down next to that, again, is honoring, this is the 2022 Urban Forestry Symposium. Micah McCurdy is honoring Ron Enoch, the Snoqualmie Tribal Heritage Chief, with a drum that he gifted him. He also carved the canoe paddles that the speakers received. And Jeffrey Thomas is to the right. Next photo is we are setting up a teepee at Victor Steinbrueck Native Park near the Pike Place Market. That was fun, and that always draws in people. We follow every event. We start and use our sacred medicine. So that photograph, it's one of my favorite, was at one of the Seafarer Torchlight Parade units before we got onto the highway. Represents everything we do. The photo of the right of the Alaskan dancers, they're Tsimshian. They were part of a festival that, thank you, Monica, funded through the Pioneer Square Association. Then dropping down to the lower, one of my favorite pictures, again, is at Victor Steinbrueck Park with coastal peoples from Quileute Ho, Quileute La Push, Lower Elwha-S'Klallam, the coastal tribes, in front of a cruise ship. It's always an interesting cultural transposition representation. And then some of our Seafarer Torchlight, our royalty, powwow royalty that are representative at the Daybreak Star powwow. And then they rode in our unit for several years. The two were both royalty, both princesses, and they're both related in family. Then over to the right is a Muckleshoot canoe that we had in one of our Torchlight Parade units. And the last one at the bottom is our powwow held at Victor Steinbrueck Park. So, Monica, would you like to give like summary of our various activities this last year that we did at City Hall Park?
Yes, I would be happy to. So City Hall Park had been closed for the past 2 years. Previously, it had been a homeless encampment, and during those 2 years, it took time for our maintenance staff to bring the park back to life, so to speak. And in opening, I knew that I really wanted to be representative of the cultures and the people that the land belonged to in the beginning. And so I seeked out Kim to partner with me to bring some really diverse programming and options to City Hall Park. Some of the tribal events we had were around the history of the beading, history of tattoos, storytelling, art, drumming, which I think also really helped to solidify and heal the land itself. We also worked with Micah to do an art installation called Spirit Catcher, sorry, which was hung in one of the trees prominent in the front of the park for 3 months. And then we did a really big art installation called Monuments. And it's probably the hardest thing I've ever done, but like the very most satisfying results. We worked with Windz of Change to pick 3 Native Americans that really embodied their community and doing good work. And that was Kyler Fisher, Roma Jean Thomas, and John Halliday. I'm sorry, I should have said that in reverse because CNU members go first. Sorry about that, Kim. And we worked with an artist called Craig Walsh from Australia. And so he works with images projected on trees. And so we worked with these 3 individuals to come in and do videography within the building, and he sent it to Australia. They pieced it together, and then we projected it onto the trees at City Hall Park. And I'm going to share a short video with you. The music that's there, the music on the video was done at opening before the projection started by Kyler Fisher and some of his relatives and friends. So if you would like to play the video.
Yes, I will play that. Sorry, 1 second.
So I don't know if you noticed during the video, they actually videotaped their face for a set amount of time. So the people were blinking, smiling, yawning. And it was in a reel, and it was actually 20 minutes long. So I just took snippets of different days and different times that I was there. The trees, it was um, it was there for a little over 30 days. And so the trees and the leaves would change over time. So like the art itself kind of evolved every night, depending on weather, depending on like how the wind was blowing. It was just a very beautiful installation, and probably one of my favorites for sure. Kim, did you want to
Oh,
talk about? Sorry.
yeah, no, and the people were amazing. I just have to say, Craig Walsh was incredible, and it was like developing family. We have somewhere to go visit when we're in Australia. He's just a beautiful individual and doing amazing things with community. He's all about community. So if you can imagine, there's over 365 tribal representatives that live in the greater Seattle area. So the whole process of seeing who we would represent in this artwork, to pick 3 out of that was a bit of a process, but it actually, as the ancestors guided us, evolved into then the first peoples of these physical lands and trees would be definitely part, and that's John Halliday, and then Roma Jean Thomas, who's the daughter of Jeffrey Thomas, John's brother. And they are all doing, Roma Jean does food sovereignty work with her Feeding 7 Generations organization, nonprofit in Enumclaw. And then John is retired. He's an artist. He's blind. He has worked with the troll artists from Denmark. There's one playing a flute in Lincoln Park in West Seattle. He also has art shows and does incredible artwork himself, and is an eco-cultural system person, sovereignty, tribal sovereignty, and those kinds of things. So then the young man is a powwow dancer. He's also coastal. So you heard him singing in the video with his coastal Quinault boys. So it beautifully fell into place. And we feel really good, and community has responded back by saying they feel really good about this monument project. If we could only just do it again, Monica, it would be really beautiful.
We've been talking about it, but this year budget's a little tight.
Yes. Yes. So this is just another shot of City Hall Park, one of the presentations at noon. This is Rockin' Horse powwow drum. Amazing young men, really amazing. And they play at powwows all across Indian country, in North America, and sometimes Canada. And then this is the art piece done by Micah McCurdy, hung in a tree in City Hall Park. Then these are just sharing powwow always draws people, and many of the Coast Salish and coastal tribes do powwows with some of the leads, like the MCs, the arena directors, and others that are on the committees and run the powwows. And then there's all the others that show up from Yakima and across the Dakotas, Montana, and elsewhere. So powwow world here in Seattle is quite active. During the summer months, starting in about May, you can go to every weekend. There's at least 2 to 5 powwows you could drive to. So we do occasional traditional ones. Liq'Tid Springs Park last year was a little one. Victor Steinbrueck, we've done for 3 years. And then we did for 3 years at Northwest Folklife. they're very complex programming to do. To follow protocol there's a lot of elements that go in. There's five regalia dress categories that are intergenerational. So they go from tiny tots up to elders, and then age grouping in between each of the categories. Beautiful to watch if you ever have opportunity. And this is just a photo shot of Liq'Tid Springs powwow and the flyer. It was a very hot day up north, and there also were 3 other tribal activities going on. So considering we did really good outreach, we probably had about 100 people, 100, 120 that drifted in and out during that day. And again, another at Victor Steinbrueck Park. I love the cruise ship image of the modern within the traditional, the contemporary traditional powwow. That's a traditional male dancer, elder on the right, his little tiny son who played headman dancer, and then our young female fancy dancer who was the Seafair Torchlight parade princess. Now moving on to Camp Long and our activities related to the symposium. We did this program at Camp Long in collaboration with Olivia and the Botanic Gardens, and then Plant Amnesty nonprofit. It was a evening program with presentations, a raffle, and then food by Jason Bickers, who is Nip Muck. His food's amazing. I did not get a photo of him into all of this, but I can in future. Oh no, he's a caterer, and his food is outstandingly amazing.
I guess like weekly meal prep for people.
Yeah, but I mean, he has buffalo and elk and salmon in his stock. He goes and collects plants and berries himself. He now is doing a booth with various different drinks that are all tribally focused. Food sovereignty is his specialty, and he does it really well. And then this is the flyer from the 2022 Urban Forestry Symposium. This is an amazing, amazing environmentally focused and collaborative collective in terms of everyone that is brought together. The groundwork for non-tribal was set up through University of Washington Botanic along with Plant Amnesty. And then now since 2021, the tribal focus went from half to now almost 98% voiced with protocols and everything else. This photo again is Ron Enoch Snoqualmie. A beautiful man doing really amazing work over in Snoqualmie. That's the tribe to the east of Seattle. When you go over the Snoqualmie Pass, he's of that tribe that's right there. Go visit their casino, gift shop, and complex. It's really beautiful. Next. This is a collage of our symposium. This was mainly from this year. So we are starting to really reach out to a bigger cross-section of representation. Again, like at the symposium, I was very thrilled to bring in Wolf Haven so that we can represent all of our relations, because wolves, coyotes, don't know about in Seattle, but coyotes they're all over Seattle, as are beaver, as are eagles, and other of our other relations. So this symposium has activities involved in it. It also then has lectures, and we are focusing the theme. We change the theming each year to continue bridging tribal ecosystems, eco-cultural systems sovereignty along with everyone else. And I think an offshoot out of that is our South, now named Medicine Creek Urban Forestry Council. We're soon to be named with the Urban Forestry Symposium Committee, the Point Elliott Council. Those two names are associated with the treaties that set up and established down south. It would have been Muckleshoot, Puyallup, Nisqually, Squaxin, Skokomish. Up north here, it would have been Point Elliott was the Seattle area, and Suquamish across the water, Suquamish, Port Gamble. So very significant in the history of the heritage of the area. Our upcoming, oh my goodness. Again, Monica has invited us once more. Do you want to add, do you want to say anything about potentials working with you?
Well, we're going to reopen Victor Steinbrueck. That date still kind of is moving with all things construction. Sometimes the schedule isn't always what they think it's going to be, but we have invited Windz of Change to return to City Hall this summer. We're hoping to do more talks and do a powwow at City Hall on the weekend. And we also want to kind of combine it with the Greater Green Conference that is coming through, that so that we can showcase great programming. But I'm looking forward to working with this organization again.
Thank you, Monica. We're blessed to be working with you. And I should give shout out to other parks program people, which is the Camp Long project listed at the bottom of this list. This project was funded through the City of Seattle Office of Sustainability and Environmental Equity. And we received a grant, the Environmental Justice funds to do this, where we are installing at least 4 red cedar carvings in the park. It's all been approved up till now. The park, Matt Kossel is amazing. We purchased a couple of art pieces that are done by Joe Seymour from Squaxin. One of them has a map of Seattle, an old map of Seattle, and across it, it says "Welcome" in Liq'Tid, the first language of the Coast Salish peoples all along the Puget Sound. It's an amazing piece, and we went to see Joe Seymour at one of the big galleries downtown. We will be holding a one-day workshop where it will bring people in to learn about indigenous trees, and then they will go out into the park to find pieces, parts, and they'll be taught protocol, and come back and look at ways they can steward and caretake any of these trees in urban settings. Western red cedars are having trouble in our urban setting due to lack of water, and also gentrification, condominiums just being built with cutting down old growth trees. So one of our partners is the Last 6,000 Trees project, who Jim Davis is connected with Plant Amnesty. So that'll be part, and we will be working with a University of Washington environmental student to map Western red cedars in Camp Long and West Seattle, along with the rest of Seattle. So it would be a supportive project for Last 6,000 Trees. And what that means is the City of Seattle has determined that 30 inches or greater is considered to be an elder tree. And so the work of Last 6,000 is to prevent trees of that size and larger from being cut down. So that's the Camp Long. Then thank you again, gratitude to Monica for connecting us with the Seattle Downtown Association to bring in artists. John Halliday will be one of them. to paint 4 tribal murals on buildings, in various strategic locations of downtown Seattle. That's amazing. And of course, our Urban Forestry Symposium is again this fall. An October date has been set. I think that's what, the 5th?
22nd.
22nd. Thank you, Olivia. And then we have been awarded the Liq'Tid Springs Park grant again to install cedar curbings, working with Tom Diamond, who's another amazing Seattle Parks and Recreation advocate, supporter, and staff person like Monica, to also then hold a ceremony celebration of the installations, as well as doing a coastal peoples ceremony festival day. And so we'll do that in the fall. One of the things to be aware of, it's very challenging to do a lot of programming in the summer months, because that's when Indian country peoples, the powwows and and canoe journeys in the summer as well. So it always takes a little more advocacy to find people to come and join us in strengthening presence. That's what this is about: strengthening presence, strengthening our youth identity, so that they can go out and build their leadership about who they are, where they're from, and what they're here to be doing as young leaders. And this is, I thought it would be appropriate to end with Chief. He was doing the invocation ceremony for the Lake City Seafair Festival and Parade. He is one of the relatives he carries the bones, as does John and Jeff, of the Chief Cheshiahud, Longhouse chief and leader of this area, prior to the coming of non-tribal, the whites that came in towards the end of the 1800s. So he's a beautiful man. He's funny, and you saw him in the red Cadillac. He wore his coastal regalia this year, or last year, for the opening. So here is our contact information for Windz of Change Alliance, for Monica with Seattle Parks and Recreation. If you have questions, if you feel directed, if you would like to connect with us, we are always looking for volunteers, for help, and for others, so that we're able to effectively do and collectively collaborate as we continue to do this work in the Seattle area. The Pacific Northwest is a special Coast Salish coastal area with all this other Indigenous peoples who are here. So we openly invite you, and we give thanks to you. We hold our hands up to each and every one of you who is in this program tonight, to learn more about what we do and who we are partnered with to make it happen. So many good things.
Thank you, Kim. Monica, do you want to share any closing words?
It's been an amazing partnership, and I'm looking forward to all the wonderful things that we're going to be doing in the next many years. And if people are still, even besides this, if you're interested in learning more about park activation and Center City Parks and what we do at other locations, you can also email me or call if you want to talk to somebody. That's all.
Well, thank you so much, Kim and Monica, for sharing your work and for doing the work that you do. We really appreciate it. And thank you to everyone who joined us tonight. Again, we will be sending out a link to the recording and posting it on our YouTube. So I hope you share it far and wide and attend some of Windz of Change's events. Yeah, and if anyone has any questions, you're welcome to send them in via the Q&A tool. And you're also welcome to send them to Kim and Monica at a later date. Well, yeah, I'm not seeing anything. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us tonight.